Hey listeners, are you ready to level up your intelligence reporting skills? Then join us for a free live workshop, How to Write a Killer Intelligence Report, on November 6th at 5 p.m. UTC and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. This workshop will give you practical tips on creating clear, concise, and actionable reports that decision makers rely on. Don't miss this chance to improve your skills. Reserve your spot now at GDIS/workshop. See you there. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the Great Dynamics podcast. Today with a special episode, an editor's note. With me today is my good friend and partner in the Great Dynamics Intelligence School, Marcel Plichta.
Hi.
Marcel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So, a couple of exciting things to talk about. First of all, we wanted to talk about, we're doing a workshop, an intelligence writing workshop. It's a follow-on from the Marcel written guide on how to write a killer intelligence report. That will be taken a step further into a workshop on how then do you do this? How do you implement these tips and tricks and techniques? So that will be on the 6th of November. It's completely free. Anybody can sign up. It's open to all. And we will announce, well, by the time that this podcast comes out, there probably will be some announcements. But if you want to be kept in the loop, click on the link in the show notes, and it will immediately set you up to follow the schedule of the workshop. And it's a live workshop, so you'll be able to ask questions. It will be interactive. And we also talk about some other intelligence training / courses related information. So Marcel, can you tell us a little bit more about the workshop?
Yeah, so I think what we realized was that in the same way that, intelligence is tailored to intelligence consumers, that intelligence reports are also tailored to intelligence consumers. So that means that when you look at existing guides out there on writing an intelligence report, it tends to be very specific to that organization or sort of the context for that intelligence report. And at least to me, that didn't really seem satisfactory, because it's not just a matter of following a specific set of instructions to do an intelligence report. It's about understanding sort of the different elements that go into intelligence reports and why they shape up the way they do, why they're organized the way they are. And so basically what we're going to do is very slowly in the webinar go through sort of each individual part of a report and the elements that go into them. And that goes for everything from the title to the difference between sort of an executive summary versus a bluff, how to organize the content itself. And so by the end of the webinar, you'll come out with an understanding of, not just how to write different kinds of intelligence reports, but why you would want to craft an intelligence report that's, organized, one way versus another way.
Yeah. And I think as we've done this podcast now for a couple of years, one of the main complaints from managers and intelligence leaders has been the writing, right? So there's all these fancy tools and techniques to collect information, and then it falls apart in the most important part because it's the final product. I think somebody commented, and I'm mad at myself that I forgot his name. If I come back to it, I'll say it. But he said we spend so much time on collecting information and creating intelligence, but we're actually paid for the writing.
Yeah,
you're paid for the report, and that's the bottom line. So we saw that there was a gap there. Obviously, we talk a lot about it in the dissemination course, but this is an opportunity for us to show you guys how we do it. And Marcel, as an analyst, has experience in the government side, and now also a lot of experience on the private side of things. And I cannot think of anybody better to show you guys on how to write a killer intelligence report.
Yeah.
And more information will follow on this. Maybe good for us also to talk a little bit about, where we are with the intelligence school and with the courses. I think from my perspective, where we are right now is I know people are waiting for us to announce a second cohort, which we haven't done. There is an announcement coming, so fret not. What we can say right now is that we are moving away from the cohort system method for at least these set of courses for the intelligence cycle fundamentals, because we saw that a lot of people felt that they didn't maybe have enough time, or they misunderestimated how much work it was, or they just want to work on it here and there and maybe not be timed. I think it's always good to have a finish line, because otherwise you're at the risk of not finishing it. However, I think the cohort model will be there for workshops as well as phase 2, because that makes a lot more sense, because those are live classes. But for these self-paced ones, I think it's a lot better idea to do them whenever you have time, and it will increase the flexibility for the students to do them whenever they want.
Yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of the self-paced model is that basically you can take it whenever you want to. But there's some people who are sort of very busy during the week, but during the weekends, they're interested in improving their skills and things like that. And there are other people who, I've seen some people that power through the whole thing in 2 weeks or so. So it basically just depends on how much time you have and how you prefer to learn. And so, down the line when we're doing live courses and live things where you can't reasonably give a good experience to 500 people live the way that you would give a good experience to, say, 50 or 15. With these courses, these initial courses, because we're teaching foundational concepts and skills, you can sort of take it at your pace and then come back to sort of phase 2 of our intelligence school, come back to live stuff when you feel like you can come back to the cohort model. So it basically just gives you more flexibility. You don't necessarily have to be watching the calendar. And yeah, basically it just benefits you more as a learner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I look at the responses we've gotten so far, it's been overwhelmingly positive. And for the people that took the time to write us a review, and I really want to shout them out. And we do not take it lightly that people take time out of their day to tell us what they think. And even if it was negative, which luckily it wasn't, we're really happy with that, and the responses have been overwhelming. I think it's funny to see that some students were able to recognize certain things that others might have overlooked, and it's interesting to see how each student interacts with the course material. And I think one of the main things that surprised me, I don't know how you think about this, Marcel, is that people found the readings, that we added to it. They found them. That's, I think, probably the most positive thing that we hear about, that people are surprised with the readings and the wealth and depth of them. I think that's something that surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you about being sort of overwhelmed by positive feedback and stuff like that, because these 6 courses are really you and me talking at the camera and giving sort of our opinions and our insights. So it's you're sort of putting yourself out there in a very, it's a very vulnerable position, right, to put yourself in. So the fact that all the people who took the course so far have had, a very positive experience with it is very reassuring. It's difficult to hit, go
Absolutely.
on the program. But yeah, for the readings, like it definitely wasn't an afterthought, because I was, we both were, everything that's not sort of our personal experience and our personal insight and our personal analysis, we were trying to include basically all of the sources of information that we can, because if you take these 6 courses together, I think it's somewhere like 24 hours of learning, right? And that's a lot, but there are some people who want to go, even further, or they want to expand on, a topic that, we touch on maybe for 20 minutes, they want, more content on that. And so for me, as I was going through and building these courses, anything that I didn't put directly in the course, putting into the further reading section, and especially trying to find, free sources where possible. Because, there's a lot of stuff that's
90%.
Yeah, easily. I think we included some books, and I included some academic articles, right? And your ability to access an academic article super depends on sort of the journal itself and the type of article, and whether you're in, a university that has access or not. But there's a ton of resources on intelligence that are free. I mean, even just going through the CIA reading room, right? Their online reading room and the other online reading
Yep.
rooms from the US intelligence community. I was going in there to pull sort of examples, right? I would talk about, foundational intelligence or current intelligence, right? And I'd find an example and pull it in there so that, students could see, what it looks like in action. But whenever there was any other thing relevant that I came across, I would also put that in the reading list. And so I think people were very grateful for that, because I don't know how much time you spent in the CIA reading room, but yeah, it can be difficult to navigate sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because so I think people, and it's even worse for the other ones. Like the CIA reading room is probably the best one, like the Department of State one, DoD, right, and various UK ones, international ones. Very difficult to navigate efficiently. So I sort of, I did what I wish other people had done for me and just sort of, stuck it all together and organized it. And that's what we tried to do across government sources, across open sources. And then some things you can't get for free, right? Like writing with intelligence, or writing for intelligence, the book
Yeah.
that we talk about so much. They should start
Yeah.
giving us kickbacks.
You're right.
But
You're giving them so many shout outs.
yeah, but for the most part, right, a lot of what you would need is someone who's either new to intelligence, or you're trying to become a bit more systematized in how you do intelligence. Yeah, all of that stuff, we've done our best to provide that for you in the reading list. So I was really pleased that people liked that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too. I saw a recognition, because when I was studying intelligence, that's something that I really loved, and finding these like little sources. And I think especially for the collection course, the other ones were more experience based, but for the collection course, I think I could have added a couple more modules, and I think it would just be, in the moment, I think this is enough to not overwhelm people right now. But I think there could have been some other collection disciplines that I could have talked about, which I didn't. And on the other hand, with direction, because it's such a difficult process to like explain in a self-paced course, I'm extremely happy that people found a lot of value in it. Particular the templates that we use at Great Dynamics. I think one of these days we're gonna make the templates available the wider world. Definitely
For sure.
the RFI template. I think people
Yeah,
would really enjoy that.
I think that's one of the most interesting things is sort of the intelligence cycle is split up, right, into a bunch of different ideas, and I think people tend to gravitate towards the ones that they hear about the most, in the media and stuff, or that are jobs that they want, right? So that tends to be usually analysis and collection, right? And then sort of processing, direction, dissemination. These things kind of go by the wayside because people aren't as familiar with it, or there's not a Hollywood blockbuster movie about someone fixing their Excel spreadsheet. But those are
There should be.
there should be, yeah. But those are very important parts of the intelligence process, even if they don't get the same kind of media attention. And stuff like dissemination. Like you were saying, Pete, you're paid by what you write. And oftentimes in the government intelligence community, you're promoted based on how much you write, not based on other aspects of your job. And so dissemination becomes extremely important. I mean, in the private sector, a product that's well disseminated also means more work for you, right? Because you've given your client or whoever's consuming your work exactly what they need. And so, teaching the entire cycle and not sort of hand waving away very important parts of the process to focus on going straight to analysis or straight to human intelligence. There's a lot of value in that, and I think that as a result, the people who've gone through the course, I think they have a more complete understanding of intelligence. Particularly those who came in as sort of self-taught OSINT type folks who are very, very good at one thing, but maybe they aren't as familiar with the process as a whole, how intelligence is done as a whole. So it helps them understand where they are within this bigger system.
Yeah. No, I think I'm happy on and organizations, and if you are interested in that, please reach out to us. Then we can make something more fitting or easier to do for your team, and an easier way to manage that. I think that's something that we got some requests for, and that's something we obviously gladly do. And if there is a training package you're looking for that might not be offered right now, or it might be a custom, or you want to set up a team, we are more than happy to help with that too. That's one of our core business functions. So yeah, please feel free to reach out. I wanted to shortly, before we conclude, talk about some of the future courses that are being worked on in the background that Marcel is slaving over. Some were in very advanced stages, and then we had to change it a bit, or we had to look in a different direction. But I think it's safe to talk about the two that we know are highly likely to come soon. One being our very own HUMINT course, Human Intelligence course, taught by none other than our new team member, John Atwell, who, for the avid listeners to the podcast, will recognize that name. John has been on the podcast, as has his wife, Esther, which I think was the last episode of last season. And John has close to 2 decades of experience as a case officer, senior case officer. So there's no one better, I think, to teach that. And then another friend of ours, Kevin Hendricks, who is teaching a crypto intelligence course, and that we're working on right now. How that's going to look and work, we will keep you guys updated. Marcel is working on that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Marcel?
Yeah, I mean, I think the HUMINT one benefits from, HUMINT is taught, and John has taught it extensively as well. With crypto, I think it's interesting just because it's sort of crypto as sort of a subset of financial intelligence, right? And I think what we're seeing now is more and more malicious actors are sort of taking advantage of some of crypto's features. But at the same time, obviously, it's sort of the nature of crypto that there's a different kind of transparency, in a sense, at least in terms of the visibility of wallets and things like that. And of course, the nature of it's changing all the time. So I'm really, really excited. I think of all the courses I'm working with, I think this is going to be the one that I learn the most from while I help Kevin set it up, because I'm very bad with crypto.
I will say this, right? And because Kevin has written some articles for us, and for the people that are really into crypto, we are not saying crypto is bad. That's not the point of the course, right? Because I think I have to say that out loud, because a lot of people have messaged me and emailed me and why I am attacking Monero or whatever coin there's a report on. And I know maybe you are holding some of them and that has impact on the price. I do not know. I have cryptos. I use them a lot. I've used them recreationally. I've played around and tested them, and operationally. And so I think if you want to work in intelligence, it's a very important skill to have, particularly if you're on the operational side of things.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's like cash, right? Most drug dealers use cash. That doesn't, necessarily say anything about cash itself, other than convenience.
Exactly. Well, but you're 100% right. Somebody should tell most of the European governments that are trying to limit the use of cash, but
I know
everybody's complaining about that.
I don't know. I went to Berlin and everyone wanted to use cash all the time because apparently there was some kind of credit card
Germany
scam.
Is an outlier.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and if, and it's important, if you're someone who is, invested in the future of crypto, it's sort of important to be aware of sort of the misuse of crypto, right? And basically looking at sort of the TTPs of malicious actors who are trying to use crypto to their own, advantages and, implement, better procedures where possible, in future coins and stuff like that. This turned into a crypto podcast real quick. But, but
it tends to happen, right?
But yeah, so it's those two. The HUMINT one, very excited about. I think a lot of people are curious about HUMINT. We're at a pretty advanced stage in terms of, the content that's going to be in it. and the structure of it. And I think it's where our courses, the intelligence fundamentals courses, you're going to get a good deal of human in that because it's one of the major collection disciplines and it feeds into, processing and analysis and dissemination. This is going to get way more into the weeds. So if you're someone who's sort of interested in HUMINT, either in the private sector or the public sector, I think this is going to be the course for you when we release it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think maybe one thing I would like to add to that is it's not really a course built by us, but built by one of our partners, which is Ole Donner, who's also been on the podcast. So we will be doing some workshops with him that will also be in the near future. So we are working on expanding the platform and getting more and more experts on. And
yeah, Ole does a lot of good work with structured analytic techniques, SATs,
Absolutely.
Which
yeah,
I build on in sort of our analysis course. And so, if you take the analysis course and you're like, okay, I have an understanding of what SATs are, I'd like to learn a set of SATs that'll help me with, my specific workplace, my specific context as an analyst. Ole's workshops are very, very solid in that regard. So it's a great place to sort of build and expand on the knowledge you've already gained.
And his book, he has a new
of course.
SAT book out. Yeah. Just a plug for him there because I know it's pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome book, and I would be remiss if I didn't.
There's also a lot of German language. There's a German language version of it, right? As well.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So if
correct,
you're a German speaker, then an added bonus.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's it for me, at least, Marcel. Is there anything you want to add?
No. I mean, you say that's it. We've been pretty busy. Getting all this together.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on at the moment.
We always like to hear feedback from the community. So if you think that there's sort of a course that you'd really, really like to see, something like, I don't know, like counterterrorism or maritime intelligence, anything like that, shoot us a message. Or if you think that you're someone who can do a course, if you have a niche expertise, like you're one of the premier geospatial intelligence folks, feel free to shoot us a message as well. And always keen to sort of meet new people and work together. Now that we have a platform, we can basically bring people on to share their expertise and make courses. So we're starting off on the right foot there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are in conversations with others, and I mean, as soon as they are in like more advanced stages, we will let you guys know. And to reiterate, there's a workshop, webinar, whatever you want to call it. I prefer workshop on intelligence writing, and it's coming on the 6th of November. And keep an eye out. If you're already on the list, on the newsletter list, or any other email list, then you will definitely get an update on that. If you're not, there will be a link in the show notes. Sign up, and we'll see you guys there.
Yeah, and if you're someone who's sort of curious about the courses, but you're still on the fence, the workshops are a really good way to sort of get introduced to what we're about and the kind of content that we cover and the kind of depth we do it in.
Yeah, and it's free. Everybody loves a freebie.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for all the support. I know we've been gone with the podcast for a while. And if you're listening to this episode, then there has already been an episode. We've recorded last week. It's really good. I recommend you listen to it if you haven't. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. And have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Marcel.